Welcome everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm the Grace Strega and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Sunday, November 3rd, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread? First two cards we're starting our day off with today. Oh my goodness gracious. We've got double aces that we're beginning our day off with today. Letting it go. You gotta let it go to allow new stuff in. You gotta let it go to allow new stuff in, okay? I know it's hard. It's difficult. You gotta do it. Universe hates a vacuum. Universe hates a vacuum. Let it empower you right now. So, welcome to Scorpio season. Not surprised to see these cards right now. We've been talking a lot about the process of transformation. And in order to transform, you have to be ready to let things go so you allow new things in. It's a difficult process. A lot of that might be based upon and built upon acceptance. Acceptance of what you cannot change. Acceptance about what's outside of the self, right? That a calibration point. That recognition, not trying to force things to be what you desire them to be, but instead seeking what is for you allows you to let go of what is not. Now, this is having a different impact depending on where you are on the frequency cycles. Masculine and feminine energy right now. Remember when I was talking about a little bit of that disparity that may be occurring right now for the energy deep within divine union? You guys come to me and you assume that divine union's always sunshine and rainbows. It is not. And we see a lot of these lessons moving up and down the frequencies. I'm going to say even now, for some of the energy deep within divine union, there's a little bit more of this energetic conflict that is at play right now. It's a little bit more difficult because we see even now that this is the energy of the counterparts that have different perspectives. Now that is a blessing, right? That is a benefit. But that ability of being adaptable, that ability of seeing different perspectives, recognizing and identifying, finding that midpoint. This could be a lot of the work that the energy deep within divine union is doing right now, because the counterpart energies does not mean that the energy always has the same opinion on anything. It requires a different course of action. So what do we see that is happening right now? Are these the energies that are being oppositional? Are these the energies that are being argumentative? No, no, because that space or place of adaptability, being in the modality of allowing for transformation, we see, and this is why this may be feeling a little energetically sticky, right? Scorpio season isn't always pleasant. There's a little bit of a sting there because this is the energy that is recognizing what they feel is adaptable, right? Versus what is necessary, right? What is flexible versus what is firm. So we see even now, like that's a lot of that transformational process, because when you navigate that transformational process, it allows for a lot of that shedding to a certain extent. And so what we may be seeing even now for some of that energy, recognizing something that you would have held on to very tightly and being much more easier with it, being much more able to let go of it, right? Having that modality shows how far you've come, how far you've changed. These are energies moving within divine union, and the prioritization point of the partnership recalibrates their own perspective on what feels vital and what feels necessary. Now, I need to stress this. This isn't energy that is moving away from themselves in the process of that progress, right? This isn't energy that feels like they're being forced into a point of transformation via the union. This is the energy that feels like doing so helps them find themselves in the process. This is the same exact message that we're seeing right now for the energy coming into divine union. The difference for the energy coming into divine union right now has to do with the fact that this is the energetic lesson of adaptability. A lot of this energy coming into divine union we saw was reaching potentially like what felt like a breaking point during the eclipse cycle. Having that moment of allowing that breakdown to create a breakthrough, taking a new approach, doing something in a different way. That's the energy that recognizes and identifies that when we do something in a different way, it changes our perspective. And I see even now a lot of that energy a lot of that energy was very doubtful about that process. A lot of that energy moving into something being like, this is dumb, I don't want to do it. Like, there's a lot of that energy. I'm just calling it out. But now, it's acquired taste. It's that sense of being like, oh. And for masculine, I told you, it has a lot to do. I kept getting, from bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. That feeling of the spilling of the guts. Like, a lot of the masculine energy in this modality was just like, I am doing something gross in order to maintain the energetic connection. I am spilling my guts. I'm taking an internal process and bringing it outwards. It is gross. But a lot of that energy doing so is now seeing the energetic benefits. What is the lesson that's coming through there? Something that you hold within that you do not reveal cannot be seen. Something that you hold within that you do not reveal cannot be seen. It does not exist. Perhaps it exists in the experience of the self, but unless you are able to articulate it outside the self, it does not exist. Existence is when we speak something into being. So for a lot of the energy right now of masculine, learning to channel that, learning to clear the throat chakra, taking that internalized process and bringing it forward. This is a lot of the energy that's recognizing the changing and the stability that it's creating within the partnership itself. For feminine, a lot of this energy is recognizing and identifying and doing a lot of that same work, because this is the feminine energy that's building upon the pathwork of patience. Is this the feminine energy saying, I'm patient, I'm just going to sit around and wait for the masculine to choose me? No. This is feminine energy being in a space of seeing a masculine that is actively trying to change. And in the same way, feminine is also actively changing, because this is a feminine that's learning to, again, express from the emotional perspective. Not allowing for the emotional volatility, but rather being able to articulate through the emotions instead of reacting to them. We see even now there's a lot of practicality that's coming in, because a lot of that fruits of the labor is paying off. Masculine and feminine in separation. Whew! This is just out with the old, in with the new. Letting go is painful. Letting go is painful. We're not going to sugarcoat it. Letting go is painful. Coming into points of acceptance. But I see even now there's a lot of energy in separation. It's coming into a process of letting go and moving into closure because of the new energetic opportunities that are surrounding them. Looking in terms of what is tangible, what is practical, what is there. And a lot of that energy, this is hard. But that sense of like, and I want to say it even now, that sense of recognizing and receiving something in the present that feels like it's in alignment to you. It's allowing for that variance point of letting go of the past or anything that felt like it was not. Center card in our 5-card spread for today is, woo! We got here our 2 of Cups in its upright. Now, masculine and feminine energy in separation, I just keep seeing right now that prioritization point exists within recognizing and identifying, moving with counterpart energy that desires the same things as one desires. We just see that for a lot of the energy right now, doing that hard work, talking towards the tangibles. This is a lot of the energy right now in separation that is moving into new energetic connections. But what I like about this is there's a lot of stability in some of these new energetic connections because there's been a bit of a Band-Aid rip moment. I just see that this is an energy that's waiting after connection to articulate upon what one is desiring from counterpart. This is the energy that's putting that, not putting the cart before the horse, but recognizing that by articulating and defining what the direction of the partnership is prior to coming into energetic connection, that builds a moment of stability in recognizing and feeling that mutual desire or assurance in relationality to what you're expecting or desiring going forward. So I see even now a lot of closure potentially occurring right now for energy and separation, specifically and particularly because I see the introduction of new energetic connections here that feel very grounded and oriented in terms of desiring the same things in a practical way. Now, for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, I'm just recognizing and identifying that this is a lot of the energy, seeing the work, the fruits of the labor, being able to come into that adaptability point, even having been doubtful of it. Let's be honest, I see some of this energy was doubtful about that process. Can't be doubtful of something if you recognize that it yields results. You can't be doubtful of a process if you recognize it yields results. And I see a lot of this energy being like having that moment of consideration and conciliation is allowing for, I want to say, a deep reformation in terms of some of these energetic partnerships. Now, I got to stress this. This isn't one of those situations where one person's like, I'm going to do all the heavy lifting and fix everything. We see so much of that adaptability here. These are two energetic connections wherein we recognize and identify that prioritization point, that sense of focusing, that sense of prioritizing, that sense of relying upon and recognizing what one is desiring to do and keeping that conviction in relation to what it is that you want to grow with another counterpart. We see that that's paying off. Masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Deep within divine union, I'm just seeing that this is coming to terms. This is a lot of this energy that's working right now, potentially having different perspectives, having different plans. But what are they doing? Are these the energies that are going to war with each other in the process? No. They're being adaptable. They're being flexible. They're recognizing and identifying what feels like it is fundamental versus what feels like it's, not as necessary, right? It's hard work, but this is the energy that, again, recognizes and identifies that the beauty of being in a healthy energetic connection is that ability to prioritize and adapt as necessary. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here our Tower card in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is in deep within divine union. A lot of this is just that work in terms of, again, recognizing and identifying, doing what one needs to do in relationality to creating easement. What's beautiful about these cards right now, and you kind of see this, the prioritization point being such that for the energy deep within divine union, what does the energy deep within divine union prioritize? Energetic peace within the connection, right? That ability of doing so, that ability of working in a restorational fashion. We see even here that there's a lot of that work that's being facilitated and built upon, wherein the energy is not only bringing that forward to one another, but they also do so in relationality to working together as a whole, and even bringing a lot of that work outside of the partnership itself. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, I just keep seeing that a lot of this energy right now is in that pathwork of restoration. It's not easy. It's challenging, right? There was a lot of that energy. There was a lot of this work that I see even now during that period of the eclipse. This was energy that was not sure whether they would make it. They were not sure whether the partnership would be able to persist, but this is the energy that has that commitment to, when you prioritize, to making the changes necessary in order to prioritize the energetic connection. A lot of this energy is seeing that the work is paying off. Masculine in the forms of, again, communication. Feminine in the forms of building into a pathwork of patience and stabilization. With the masculine that shows and recognizes the ability of doing work, isn't in a space of saying, wait for me, but saying, being patient with me as I do so. While for a lot of energy and separation right now, I just see a lot of new energy. This Scorpio new moon bringing in a lot of new energetic connections. A lot of new energetic connections here is what I'm seeing. And I like this because a lot of this energy here, receiving something in the new energetic connection that is providing and allowing for closure. Because if this is a modality wherein you are I see a lot of this energy, I keep getting strength recall. Energetic strength recall. If there feels like something in the past connection that it felt like any desire to move something forward, it felt like you weren't strong enough. It felt like everything you did felt like it wasn't enough. This is the energy that's now feeling the easement in doing something that was like very difficult to do in the past, because it's the energy of feeling the vitality and remembering one's strength when someone's moving in the same direction as you. When someone's just doing that work, right? And it doesn't feel like a tug of war, it feels like a journey forward. Fifth card in our 5-card spread before we start getting clarification on these cards. You see? Further validation with our strength card in its reversal, because this is the energy that is feeling how easy something is in the new energetic connections, which is amplifying the difference in the past connection between something that felt like no matter how hard you tried to move, it would not move forward because they were pulling in the opposite direction, as opposed to suddenly having that strength recall and remembering how strong you are with energy that's moving in the same direction or with the same vitality. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union here. This is a lot of the energy that I'm recognizing and identifying. Oh, just building into that space or place of, I want to say a sigh of relief here is what I'm seeing. Because there was concern. There was deep concern here. There was some kind of concern about whether the work that you were ready to bring into something was going to pay off. And I just keep seeing that for a lot of the energy right now. Something that took a lot of work, but is now getting easier. That is a lot of the energy recognizing and identifying. And this is why I see so much of this like almost apologetic energy in that space. Because this is energy that is recognizing and identifying things about the self that they couldn't see before prior to implementing some of these new standards. So we see even now a lot of that feeling restorative, a lot of that feeling positive. But this is not energy that's forcing one another into that modality. This is a lot of the energy that is prioritizing the energetic connection and making those changes of the self that are allowing that ability of seeing things that one couldn't see before. While for masculine and feminine energy, in separation and deep within divine union right now, I'm just identifying that a lot of that work that we're recognizing here has to particularly do around circumstances or situations wherein there's a lot of this, I want to say, a lot of this sense of adaptability to a certain extent that is allowing for a lot of new perspectives or a lot of new directions, a lot of new innovations, if you will. Because the energy deep within divine union right now, I can see that it feels innovative. It feels inventive. It feels like coming up with new solutions via that sense or that space of recognizing and prioritizing what feels like it's important versus what feels like it's not necessary, right? And so a lot of that work that we're seeing here, it feels fundamental. But the recognition point is also in how far, and this is where we get some of that scorpionic journey coming in terms of looking back on the past, identifying and recognizing where one's own priorities exist, where they might not have existed in the past. Continuing to get clarification between our Ace of Swords and its reversal in combination with our Ace of Pentacles and its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Magician. Now, masculine and feminine energy, look at this, divine union, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is that inventiveness that we were speaking towards. That is that idea of coming up with new ideas, coming up with new plans, building into that space of adaptability, right? So we see even now, like a lot of that energy, having a bit of that breakthrough here. And I want to say, right, this is why we appreciate when we come towards one another with disparities, with uncertainties in terms of how to navigate something, but we're not in a space of being argumentative about it, when we don't hold firm and become too inflexible. That ability allows for inventiveness. It allows for room to grow. It allows for creativity. So we see that even now there's a lot of creativity that is occurring right now as it relates to how to navigate practical, I want to say, how to navigate practical hurdles. Continuing to get clarification for a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union. I feel like a lot of this energy in divine union is giving each other like a pat on the back of appreciation, Because that sense or space of saying to one another, look, when we build upon the conviction and prioritize the partnership above all, there's nothing that we're not capable of doing, right? Because that's a lot of the energy that is feeling that reminder that when you prioritize something and you're adaptable to it, it's not how or if, it's just when. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, a lot of this work that we're seeing right now, I just see a lot of this energy being in a space and place wherein, and I'm going to call you out right now. I'm going to call out all this energy that was in separation, because a lot of this energy during the eclipse cycle, I saw it. There was a lot of energy being like, I'm done. I'm done. What were you done with? Were you done moving in the direction of something that felt like it wasn't in alignment with you? Were you done pushing against something that felt like it was a tug of war? A lot of this energy let go of their manifestation, or felt like they were letting go of their manifestation. But what they were effectively letting go of during the eclipse cycle was something that felt like it was too energetically difficult, right? Sometimes, and then in the process of moving away from it, they bonk right into their manifestation, right? Because a lot of that energy, you had to let go. You got to let go in order to move towards what's for you, right? So we see even now, like, a lot of that work being facilitated, allowing for that variance. It's allowing for that space. It's allowing for that conscientiousness. It's allowing for a lot of that energetic buildup to a certain extent. Now, continuing forward right now, between our Ace of Pentacles in combination with our Two of Cups in its upright, may I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Five of Cups in its upright. Now, I gotta say, like, the energy in separation right now, I told you, it's bittersweet. I see a lot of this energy right now in separation. And if you're going, I want to say, and if you're going back and forth right now, right? Like, I can see this even here. Like, there's a little bit of this process that we're recognizing and identifying that feels somewhat akin to, like, holding space for, I want to say, energetic grief to a certain extent, right? Because a lot of that we're seeing here, and I need to stress this, for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, that observational point, right? That recognition, if you will, and I have to stress this, making new energetic connections that feel like they're in a space of easement. It feels bittersweet because I see a lot of that energy letting go of the past in the process, right? Not that space or that state of not feeling like one is waiting, but instead moving in the directionality of what one feels is for you. Like, a lot of that work that we're seeing even here. But I have to stress this. I see these energetic connections recognizing and identifying one another because of that energetic grief that they're holding in the process. You know, this isn't energy that's like, you know, feeling gleeful about being in a space of being in separation. I see even here, there's a lot of that energy that feels some of that frustration, if you will, in relationality to what they aspired and desired in past energetic connections versus what they received. But what's important about this isn't the energy that moves forward in that space or place of identifying and recognizing how to change in order to facilitate moving towards something. Because a lot of that energy is prioritizing their manifestation goals. And we even saw that for some of that work, having to facilitate and recognize to a certain extent, having to look at something, as it were, and identify and recognize the difference between an energetic connection that feels like it's in alignment in relationality to what those goals are versus feeling that tug of war, right? That pull and push and pull, which often is indicative of two energies that are arguing about what they desire the partnership to be. A lot of this energy is coming into that space of acceptance in being able to heal from past energetic connections by basically saying to themselves, we desired different things. right? And in that space of recognizing and identifying that, a lot of healing immediately comes to the surface. While for masculine, and this is energy I see even now, like the openness and being able to talk about those journeys to a certain extent, amplifies how far and how ready they are to heal. Because this is a lot of the energy that's like, again, looking at the past for understanding, not trying to go back towards it. While for masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union, I see a lot of this energy coming into the space of apology. Why is a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now coming towards one another with a stake in a place of apology? Because frequently, when we're working on the self, when we commit to working on the self, when we have an energetic breakthrough, we can often see those moments or modalities wherein we previously stood in our own way. So for a lot of this work that we see even now, this is a lot of the energy that is articulating and speaking back towards the past. Why are they speaking back towards the past? Because they can see something about the self that they could not see before, right? Like, and that ability of doing so, that creates that modality of being able to speak openly about a past. And in that ability of doing so, immediately a lot of catharsis is being brought forth, because in the articulation of the past in such a way, there's the amplification that change has occurred. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, this is healing. This is restorational. This is a lot of this energy that works very hard. And I want to say this even now. This is energy that's always working to try to do what is energetically best. And I can see even now a lot of that energy, expanding upon the frustrations to the energetic counterpart, articulating upon those frustrations, articulating upon those frustrations on the self. And what are the counterparts doing at this time? They're acting as clear mirrors for one another. They're basically saying to one another, the fact that you feel upset is because you energetically care. The fact that you're working through something is because you recognize and identify, and you're trying to find ways of making something energetically easier. So we see even here that a lot of that sense, holding space for one another, that's a little bit of that adaptability that we're recognizing deep within divine union right now, because it is, it's building upon and bearing upon the lessons of what one feels that one can change versus what one feels one has to navigate. Continuing to get clarification between our Two of Cups in combination with our Tower card in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now. I like this. We've got here our 10 of Cups in its upright. Now, masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union right now. I just keep getting this message over and over, making it work, making it work, making it work. Gonna make it work at all costs. Gonna make it work. Gonna do what one needs to do. You know what I mean? And so for a lot of that energy, I have to stress this. That ability, and this is why. How do you make something work? You allow for that acceptance of letting things go when they don't. Right? Not harboring any of that frustration. Doing what one feels is necessary. Doing what feels like it is helpful, if you will. Recognizing and identifying that. This is a lot of that energy deep within divine union that says to one another, it doesn't require you to be perfect. It just requires that we're moving in the same direction. And that sense of restoration, that is a lot of that work that we're identifying, allows for a lot of that energetic healing. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union right now, a lot of this work that we're identifying and recognizing coming into divine union at this time, I'm just seeing that so much of that, if you will, is based upon or built upon that recognition point in relationality to what one is effectively trying to change. And even here, the reason I'm seeing so much of this apology, if you will, is so much of this work that we're recognizing here This is the understanding, if you will, on coming into a space that something is getting easier. So it makes sense that as we're seeing that this energy is now moving in a way that feels like it's healing, that ability of looking back and seeing something that one couldn't see before, it's almost like they're coming towards one another with that sense of conciliation, because it's the accountability for the past self that is emerging in the process of healing the present self. While for masculine and feminine energy and separation right now, I'm just seeing, there's a lot of this work that I see right now with the energy and separation prioritizing what the manifestation goal is. And so this is how a lot of that energy is healing the past, because I keep seeing a lot of that energy being able to look back on something in the present context, especially in relationality to new energetic connections, where it feels like there's an easement point on something that may have felt like it was the impossibility point in the past. And how is the energy in the present healing from the past? By that reamplification of the statement to themselves, we wanted different things. Right? And when we want different things, when we simply say to ourselves, when we're able to amplify and say, yeah, I cared about that, but ultimately we desire different things, immediately there is healing there, because we're not internalizing that. We're not looking at something and saying, what did I do energetically wrong? You look at something externally with a point of saying, I understand the reason that there was an energetic push and pull is because of that desire in desiring to go in different directions. So a lot of that energy right now in separation is feeling the easement in being in separation, because it feels like they're getting back on the pathwork of moving towards their manifestation goal. Continuing to get clarification between our Tower card in its reversal in combination with our Strength card in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now. We've got 3 of the 4 aces out today. I just need to stress that. We've got 3 of the 4 ace cards out. So we've got our Ace of Swords, we've got our Ace of Pentacles, we've got our Ace of Wands. So a lot of positivity here, a lot of new opportunity, a lot of new ideas, a lot of doing things in different ways, having adaptability points. Now, masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, I'm just recognizing and identifying that so much of this work that I'm seeing here. I mean, we're going to start with the energy and separation. I just see that for a lot of the energy and separation, that recognition point of moving towards what it is one hopes to manifest, and finding what it is that you're energetically seeking to a certain extent, or moving in alignment with those that desire the same things as you. I just keep getting, there's something about this that says to me, it's slippery in the sense of feeling how easy something is that's occurring right now in the present. The easement of the recall of energetic strength, like it's almost like energy being like ready to pull on something, and instead it just moves so simply, because this is the energy that was used to having to pull really hard to move something in the direction that they desire to go into. And this is a reminder that a lot of the energy is having right now of being like, oh yeah, when you're moving with someone that desires the same things that you, everything feels very easy. Everything feels very effortless, because you don't have someone pulling oppositional to you. You have someone that's helping you carry the weight, right? While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, a lot of this work that we're seeing here and identifying in relationality to doing that work, this is the energy that's seeing the benefit of doing something difficult that's paying off. And when I say doing something difficult, this isn't the energy that's been in like a wrestling match with each other in relationality to where the relationship's going. This is energy that committed themselves to making particular changes within the self in order to facilitate forward in a healthy, positive, energetic connection. And so we see even now a change of perspective that occurs when you do something differently. It sometimes stinks when you first start doing it because you don't know if it's going to work. I'm seeing here that a lot of that energy is recognizing and identifying that that work is paying off. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, a lot of this work that I'm seeing right now, deep within divine union, is just allowing for that modality of having a different perspective. taking a different opportunity, having a different take, allowing for all of that work to effectively be facilitated and acted upon, that's creating that space or change for new ideas, new directions, new possibilities, new opportunities, all via the productive and healthy communication. Continuing to get clarification between our Magician card in combination with our Five of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Five of Swords in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within divine union. I'm just recognizing and identifying that a lot of this work that we're seeing right now, deep within divine union, is all about finding and recognizing this is energy that prioritizes peace. It's energy that prioritizes harmony. And so in that space or place, that ability of being adaptable, I just see even here that so much of that work, it feels energetically restorative. It looks towards identifying and recognizing how one can do that in a way that feels like it is adaptable. But also, I want to say, this is everything, like everything about that, like looking at something and saying, if this facilitates easement, then that's something that we can do. So much of that work that we're seeing even here, there's a lot of that assessment of the past. But I need to stress this. This is not the assessment of the past looking for energetic weapons. This is the assessment of the past to utilize and empower seeking tools going forward. Now, masculine and feminine energy in coming into divine union, the sense of doing something difficult and it getting easier, I just see a lot of this energy coming into this space of apology towards one another. And this is further amplification of that past that we spoke about. And if these are modalities where in the past this energy was reaching into the past as tools, not being able to let something go, what we're effectively seeing is this is a lot of that energy that's coming into that space of being able to let something go. But that ability of letting something go is almost like the ability of letting go of the hurt so that you can look back on the past and be able to pull something that feels like it is of value from it. Continuing to get clarification for the energy and separation right now, I see that a lot of this energy and separation is building a new perspective on the past. And a lot of that ability of building perspective on the past right now, I'm just recognizing and identifying, has a lot to do with the identification point of, again, what happens when something that you feel like you were trying to pull, like something that was so difficult in the past is suddenly coming towards you with easement. It reframes your own perspective on what you were receiving from the past. And so I see even now it's allowing that point of understanding and also easement, but it's a reminder that sometimes clarity comes from moving forward. Because a lot of that is saying to me that the energy and separation is building upon heightened perspective. Continuing to get clarification between our Five of Cups and our Ten of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with, I love it, our Eight of Cups in its reversal. Now, for a lot of this energy and separation, and we saw this, right? We identified this a few weeks ago. A lot of that energy, particularly during the eclipse season, having that moment of fundamentally feeling like you were going to move into something, trying to deepen an energetic partnership, but then it felt like it almost like dissolved to a certain extent, right? For a lot of that energy, recognizing and identifying that, this is why we see that these are the partnerships that are building and based upon right now the sense or space of consistency and adding that variable of time. Because for a lot of that energy, that reaffirmation and that reminder that words are one thing, but actions are another, right? That ability of moving towards one another and remembering that the gift that we give each other in love is consistency. We see even now that a lot of that energy is finding that consistency as it relates to some of these new energetic counterparts that they're coming into connection with. And once you're able to see that, once you feel the consistency, that can be related and received in an energetic partnership, it provides its own context of closure, because this is a lot of that energy that is looking back on the past and understanding and recognizing the difference between the ability for someone to say that they desire something versus the ability to create the consistency that is required in order to energetically maintain it. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy facilitating upon that work right now, it's bittersweet, right? It's bittersweet. And I can see even now a lot of that energy articulating to the new energetic counterparts what those limitations were, because this is a lot of the energy that recognizes and identifies and says to one another in the process that moving away from something wasn't their first instinct because something was difficult, but rather the articulation of feeling like one has done everything that one could do to try to facilitate easement into something until finally all that was left was to be able to move away from something. This is a lot of the energy getting the clarity and understanding as to why in the present energetic connections. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming like a lot of that work that we see that's facilitated right now, everything else about beyond those consistencies is overcoming obstacles. It's all about overcoming obstacles. The energy coming into divine union, coming into conciliation and recognizing how they may have stood in their own way. For the energy coming deep within divine union, that sense of working through to a certain extent. Like there's a lot of heightened intimacy that I'm seeing that's occurring right now for the energy deep within divine union. But a lot of it feels, I want to say, positive, specifically and particularly because this is the energy that feels that sense of stability and security as they do so. Continuing to get clarification between our 10 of Cups in combination with our Ace of Wands and its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Star card in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is deep within divine union right now. A lot of this is having a different impact on masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. And it has a little bit to do specifically and particularly with, and I want to discuss this because we saw that this Star card was actually in its upright yesterday. So masculine energy right now, and I told you there's a little bit of this overprotectiveness that's occurring right now in relationality to the masculine. That ability of identifying and recognizing and doing that work right now, it feels, I want to say, it feels energetically protective to a certain extent. And it feels a lot also being in that space or place of trying to navigate, like providing the feminine context through which to recognize, and this is where we see some of that disparity that's occurring here. That ability of taking some kind of approach to something. And this is where we see, and this is why these energies are different. There's something about the approach to which masculine is articulating to take that the feminine recognizes and identifies isn't in the same construct from the perspective of the feminine. Because there's something about the way that something masculine puts forth is received versus how feminine would be, like, is received in doing the same. We see that this is what I meant about that clarity of giving perspective to one another. Because even here, it almost feels like masculine wants to take more of that forward approach, right? Feminine taking more of that, being more protective, being more defensive. So we see that these are the energies that work towards one another to find new energetic solutions to difficulties, primarily and specifically because this is the energy that articulates and feels the perspective of the energetic counterpart, right? So feminine expressing to masculine a little bit of that frustration, right, in relationality to what the masculine can do versus how the feminine can do something, and masculine articulating same. So we see even now This is what I meant about some of that disparity deep within the divine union frequency in relationality to taking, having different perspectives on things, right? And it's requiring a lot of that communication. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, a lot of this work that I'm seeing at this time, it just says to me that more than anything right now, this is a lot of that energy coming into that space of apology towards the counterpart. But I have to say that this apology, I'm almost getting here, that sense or that space of the apology that feels like it's almost energetically not needed, because we see even here that for a lot of the energy facilitating forward in that way, we see masculine learning through that ability of articulating upon one's own feelings, right? Feminine being in that space or place of being appreciated. This is the feminine energy that is healing from the past by being more authentically their own ability to communicate from their own sense of self, right? So this is a lot of the energy of the feminine that's moving into divine union, that's continuing to work on not feeling so energetically defensive, right? Letting go of the past. Masculine working into that context of building forth in such a way of being able to articulate one's own energetic feelings, one's own energetic emotions. So we see even now like a lot of that healing that's coming through, but it's via the ability to recognize and identify the other's energetic perspectives. Continuing to get clarification here for a lot of this energy and separation, a lot of this has to do with planning. Because I see even now, it's a little bit easier right now for masculine in separation as opposed to feminine. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine working through that ability of coming into a space of being able to articulate upon their own desires or their own goals. Being able to do so in such a way, not wanting to put that false sense of self towards feminine, specifically and particularly as a result of recognizing and identifying what feels like it's energetically productive. Like I just see even now a lot of the masculine going through that process of saying, my ability to inhabit my most authentic version of self will not move a feminine away from me that is in alignment to me. Right? Like that's a lot of that conversation that we see is occurring right now, which is why I see a lot of that masculine energy trying to work on being in that space or place of being very authentic towards the feminine. For feminine, this is something that we see even now. There's more trepidation here. Why is there more trepidation for feminine? Because feminine is healing from those spaces and places wherein the masculine's words do not necessarily match their actions. So that's why we see even now that variance of time. Taking that energetic time, being energetically patient. We just see and recognize that for a lot of that energy facilitating and doing that work, that ability of doing so, that ability of recognizing such, this is a lot of the feminine that may be articulating to masculine in separation what those anxieties are, what those fears are. But again, not allowing the past, not assuming that the past is energetically repeating itself, but to a certain extent almost saying, allowing it to refine the feminine but not define the feminine is how the feminine energy is continuing forward on that journey. Continuing forward on these cards right now between our Five of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Eight of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Six of Cups in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now in separation. A lot of this energy in separation is effectively healing from the past. What are the energies healing from the past upon? Unhealed karmic connections. Spaces or places of identifying and recognizing the connection towards another, but feeling that oppositional pull in relationality to the direction that one aspired or desired to go. This is a lot of that energy that's coming into that space of healing from something by recognizing and understanding the qualities and characteristics as to why something was not moving with the efficacy that one desired it to go towards. Because that's a lot of that energy that simply identifies that. And that's heavy, right? That can be very energetically heavy. That can be very frustrating because, and I need to stress this isn't the energy that denies the energetic connection of those past relationships, right? This isn't the energy that says to themselves, I didn't feel anything or I didn't care about something, but the ability to articulate upon the reasons why something could not come into the energetic connection that it should have. This is how the energy is healing, because it's via V, that ability of recognizing and understanding the oppositional pull within that, the desire to potentially move in different directions. This is a lot of that energy that's coming into that space of conciliation as they move forward at this time. Continuing forward right now, for the energy right now coming into divine union, the recognition of self, the understanding of what you're actively changing in the present, in the context of an energetic connection. This is why we see these energies that may be coming towards each other with a lot of apology, because it's that perspective or that ability of seeing something and recognizing it. We see even now that is the appreciation and the conciliation that these partners are giving one another, in the ability of recognizing and seeing the limitation of the self that may have been causing disruptions in the energetic connections. While for masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now, that sense or space of trying to restore and trying to be in a restorative space, a lot of this energy deep within divine union right now is basically facilitating and working forward in such a way that it requires that sense or that space of adaptability to a certain extent in recognizing and identifying what one can change, how one desires to change, how to effectively come into that space of healing. And I see even now that one of the difficulties or burdens that a lot of the energy outside the divine union is carrying right now has to do with healing from unhealed energetic connections from the past, trying to move forward in a positive way. And so we see even now that for a lot of the energy facilitating forward in that way, that ability of coming into the space of being energetically adaptable, right? Learning that adaptability that they're giving one another. It doesn't just remain within the energetic connection itself. It spreads out across all of the energetic connections that are surrounding the partnership in the process. Continuing to get clarification between our Eight of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Star card in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Cups. A lot of cups out today. I just got to stress this. We've got a lot of cups out. Very happy to see it. While masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union, what I appreciate and we see here is this a lot of the energy thinking about different options, right? Like we spoke about this. We spoke about this yesterday. When we navigate, and this is some of the beauty of that work that we can do right now in Scorpio season, because Scorpio season is very transformative. That ability of looking at something with new optics, having different perspective, taking a different perspective on something. This is allowing for that flourishing of different ideas, different plans, different ways of navigating situations. So we see even now a lot of that feeling like an energetic breakthrough to a certain extent. And that adaptability, if you will, that ability of doing so, it's expansive, it's productive, and it's also allowing for a lot of this energy to find different ways of tackling hurdles, not just within the partnership itself, but also in relationality to the situations and scenarios outside of the energetic connection that feel that they're in need of healing. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is a lot of the energy coming into that space of conciliation towards one another, because in the act of healing, you're seeing things that you could not see before within the self. And when we see things that we could not see before within the self, it's often frequent that we want to be able to say to someone, I see things from a different perspective now. That path work is paying off. And that moment of, again, potentially even looking back and being energetically mortified, right? Like that moment of looking back on the self and saying, oh, I could not see that before. A lot of that energy is basically giving that to one another as the gift that they're amplifying and utilizing going forward, that's showing the fact that there is a breakthrough that is actively occurring in those energetic connections. It feels like it is restorative. While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, I just see a lot of this energy in separation that is now ready to move forward. If these were spaces or places wherein the energy was like letting go, especially during that eclipse process, healing from situations and circumstances wherein they were feeling that frustration in the difference between what one articulated that they said that they desired versus another's ability to act towards it. This is a lot of energy right now that's building into new energetic connections that are showing the consistency and possibility of an energetic connection that feels like a flourishing in relationality in terms of how to do something, right? Because even here, it's the difference between feeling an energetic limitation and then always feeling that that limitation is present versus suddenly having that overabundance of options or opportunities in relationality to navigate something. So I see even now that there's a lot of that proliferation energy that is occurring for the energy in separation. And it feels exciting. It feels like there is anticipation here, but it's positive anticipation because a lot of this energy is just not putting their focus towards what feels like it's healed, but instead turning towards the energy that feels like it's already in the space or place of desiring the things that they desire in the process. Final card for today's reading, between our Six of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Seven of Cups in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Two of Pentacles in its reversal. So for a lot of this energy in that modality, that amplification, working towards energy that desires the same things as one desires. This is all about that same journey that we spoke about in relationality to feeling that like push and pull potentially in those prior energetic connections. It felt like everything was like that wrestling match, trying to move something forward in any way that felt like it was like always that like heavy like journey forward. Suddenly coming into that easement point and feeling how easy something can be in relationality to moving with someone that desires the same things that you desire. A lot of this energy is almost feeling like that strength recall because it's a reamplification of identifying and saying, why was I not strong enough to move something versus saying, oh, I just wasn't moving it with someone that was pulling in the same direction as I was. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, a lot of this energy coming into divine union right now, I just want to say that's for so much of it, we're seeing here that space, that ability of doing so, this is the energy that's understanding how one may have been standing in one's own way. Right? They're taking different approaches, and not a negative way. I need to stress this. This isn't energy that's being hard on themselves on that journey. Because again, if you're learning something, if you're in the process of actively learning something, giving yourself that sense of appreciation, not holding yourself overly energetically accountable if you could not see something about the self that you're only learning now, but almost coming into that space of appreciating how far you've come with the energetic counterpart. There's a lot of this energy that is reaffirming their own energetic commitment of coming towards one another, specifically and particularly because they feel like they're finding themselves along the way. While for masculine and feminine, deep within divine union, that sense of prioritization, I just see even now a lot of that energy making new choices or coming into spaces of being more energetically adaptable, specifically and particularly because a lot of those lessons that they're learning within partnership itself, they're able to amplify and extend to those outside of the partnership itself in the process. Bottom of the deck on this reading today is Four of Cups in its upright. It's the energy of anticipation that we're experiencing right now. It's Scorpio season, so we often have a lot of this feeling of anticipation that we navigate, right? Like that moment or that modality, feeling a lot of that energetic excitement. So we see even now being able to channel that into productive spaces, not allowing yourself to be reactive through it, but letting you be productive into it. This is what's creating that ability of new possibilities arising from something, because in the process of being adaptable, you're coming up with new inventiveness and relationality to navigating problems, right? So we see even now that this is having an impact depending on where you are in the frequency cycles. For masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, a lot of that adaptability, the counterpart providing a perspective that you yourself might not have seen before that allows for a consideration in terms of how to navigate a circumstance or situation. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, a lot of this work that we're recognizing right now coming into that space or place of being energetically adaptable. This is what allows for a lot of that consideration, if you were, allows for a lot of that modality wherein we recognize and identify that this is the work that we see that is occurring, wherein this is the energy that can see something in a different way because they move towards doing something in a different way, right? And some of that energy, I told you, there was some resistance there. There was some of that uncertainty in relationality to whether something would work. But this is almost like that payoff, because in that process, they might be seeing something that they didn't even expect to see on that energetic journey within the self. While for masculine and feminine energy, much of the same in separation. I see that a lot of this energy felt like they were letting go of their manifestation goals, energy moving away at the eclipse cycle, saying, I'm letting go of my manifestation. I don't want that anymore. And then suddenly bumping into their manifestation because they recognize that in the act of letting go, they allowed themselves the opening to allow the manifestation to come towards them because they weren't trying to force someone into that modality of being the manifestation that they desired them to be. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving these messages. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, gracestrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into private readings for today. Please, I'd like to invite you all to join me in our next tarot class. Our next tarot class for paid subscribers on my Substack will be held on Wednesday, November 13th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with an exploration into the Chariot card. If you'd like to become a part of that class program, all you need to do is become a paid subscriber to my Substack, gracestrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription to my Substack will grant you access and entry into our live class each month. You will also have access to the full repository of previous classes and course materials. So that's about 7 hours worth of material that you will have with your subscription. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've learned thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein we will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey, and I'll give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize the classes and your own personal practice to the best of your advantage going forward as you continue your studies. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So I want to thank you if you're already joining us there, and I look forward to potentially seeing you at our next class. And if you are a subscriber here on my TikTok, make sure that you head over to our subscriber only Discord channel, because you will find there a discount code that will give you a further discount on your Substack subscription to those classes. Even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings and services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my full live event schedule as well as my in-person events. You'll also be notified as to any of our giveaways. Speaking of giveaways, we are going to be announcing the winner of our October giveaway in our newsletter that will be going out today. Congratulations in advance to our winner. We are now having our November giveaway active. If you would like to win a private tarot reading with me, head over to my link tree in my bio. There is a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that travel survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway. But if you would like to increase your chances of winning, go ahead and forward that survey to a friend, because when I pull the winner, I will not only be giving a reading to the person that wins, but also to the person that referred them. So thank you if you've already entered, and I wish you the best of luck of winning this month. Finally, I want to let you know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for my clients that are interested in having a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason. These classes are focused on whatever area of personal growth or spiritual development you are most interested in pursuing. and they can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series. So that is 4 45-minute courses, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.